All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to invite everyone to please settle down. Thank you very much. Take a seat, take a seat, take a seat. All right, so just a quick recap of our sponsor booths. We'd like to invite you during the lunch break and other breaks. You can make your way downstairs, check out those sponsor booths. We can discover career paths, agile roles, and growth opportunities, okay? Now, about some activities we have for you. There are these star stickers you can get from each booth and paste it on your wristband. And if you visit the majority of the booths, you stand a chance to win an exciting gift, okay? Apart from that, we also have a treasure hunt. Now, each booth has a clue related to the Agile Manifesto and principles. You can collect all of those clues and submit your answers before 4:45 p.m. tomorrow, okay? There's treasure hunt boxes placed near the conference hall. Fill the answers looking for 6 correct principles and write it on a piece of paper. Mention your name, company, and mobile number and drop your answers into the box, right? We also have a spin the wheel and win. You can try your luck at the spin the wheel game. You can contribute to the online collage, capture captivating moments of the conference and upload it to the Padlet. We also have a gratitude wall. If you heard something insightful, appreciate the speaker by leaving a note on the gratitude wall, right? All of those things are available if you just take the escalator and make your way downstairs. So you can see the spin the wheel, the treasure hunt, the stars on your wristband. Fill it all up because it's going to be very, very important, okay? Now, we're getting ready for our next segment, and this is going to be a workshop on designing for tomorrow, the shift in UX thinking. We have 2 speakers for you. We have Dhanushka Sanjaya, Senior UX Designer, IFS UX Content Creator. He's passionate UX designer with over 7 years of experience, currently working in the Lifecycle Experience team at IFS. We also have John O'Reilly, Lead Experience Designer at IFS. He's a seasoned product and UX designer with over 25 years of experience crafting digital solutions for top global brands, including Sony EMI, Virgin Music, BBC, PlayStation, and the UN. Ladies and gentlemen, with a big round of applause, can we welcome Dhanushka Sanjaya and John O'Reilly. Come on, put your hands together, everyone.
So hello. Thank you for being here today. And those joining online, I hope you're going to engage with us in our online workshop. And very much we want to feel your presence in the room. So we're here today to discuss the shift in UX thinking. But first, like with any great UX workshop, it's good to get to know each other. So if you can bear with me, I'll give you a little bit of background on my history and why I'm so passionate on UX. Okay, so like many in this space, my career began with a keen eye in design. So 25 years ago, I started out as a graphic designer, and I had a fascination with the aesthetics, but also intrigued into the fact that visual communication can affect user behavior. So that actually sparked an interest to move towards marketing. And from there, I gained even more passion, and I started to express and explore myself throughout the digital landscape. And I moved into web design and development. And it was at a moment when the internet was rapidly changing the way that we interact with brands. So, like many people, I honed my skills, and I had the incredible opportunity to work with world-renowned brands, delivering digital experiences with emerging technologies. And I discovered what truly drives me is understanding users, anticipating their needs, and delivering intuitive and expressive experiences. Today, I work at IFS, and I apply those skills in even new, more challenging ways. And I do that across many industries and on a global scale. And I do that along with a team who is innovative and resourceful, and some of them are here today. And I hope, hi guys, you can see me there. But today, I want to talk specifically about one colleague who's going to share the stage with me today. He resonates the same passion that I have within UX, and I would like you to give him, please, a warm round of applause as I introduce Dhanushka Sanjaya to the stage.
Thank you, John, for the quick introduction. So, yeah, it's great. Great evening. Hello, Colombo. So, it's a great evening and great day we have because I see lots of my friends gathered after a very long time who met me during my career. So, it's a great. We have lots of different people from different industries. So, we all gathered here for one purpose, right? So it's a great evening and great morning, great day. I believe like this whole event will give you lots of insightful information around the AI technology. So if I quickly brief about me, I got over 7 years experience in the experience designing industry. So I originally graduated from the University of Colombo School of Computing with a Bachelor of Degree in Computer Science. And then I moved to the industry as a UI UX engineer way back in 2018. And then I got 3+ years of experience there working for the fintech solution. So in the early stage of my career, John, the biggest challenge we had was we had to design an experience for the digital banking products. So at that time, it's quite new to the country, but we all know that how vital the digital banking services are. So we had a challenge ahead, like how to make these mobile banking and digital banking more familiar for the Sri Lankan community. So I got a good exposure there. Then I saw the opportunity, a great opportunity. So I joined IFS because I wanted to more focus into the UX rather than doing UX and UI and the UI designing and the development. So I purely focused on the UX aspect. So I became a UX designer and I joined the IFS, and I'm currently working at IFS as a senior UX designer and under the division Lifecycle Experience Center, where I met this great person. Lots of inspiration from him as well. So that's my brief introduction, and currently I'm also following a specialization certification from Michigan University, currently following in the user experience research and design. So that's a bit about me, that's a bit about John. So I think to be more productive this particular workshop, we would like to hear from you. So I know practically we can't let everybody to speak and introduce yourself live because we have a huge crowd with lots of talent, lots of things to tell, I'm sure. So shall we do a bit of interaction? So can we know the people who joined this event representing the universities? Any university communities? Can you raise your hands? Just to get an idea. Okay, great. So from the people from the non-IT sector, do we have non-IT sector? Okay, so I believe the rest of all from the IT sector. Okay, great. So we have some kind of a diversity there. So we will try our best because we have a broad range of people from different industries. So we will try our best. Each and everybody will have something valuable, something insightful at the end of this workshop. So we will go into the flow. So John, now before we start this workshop, we would like to see how they think about the UX, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so we're going to have a little bit of fun now, and it's one of these workshops where we actually encourage you to use your mobile phones. So we're going to have a live poll. So what we're going to do before we start is there's no right or wrong answers here, and it's all anonymous, so please be honest in these questions. But we're going to show you a QR code. In a few seconds, I'd like you to get your phones out if you can, and if you want to. If you have any problems, please speak to the facilitators nearby. But I'd like you to please scan that QR code, please. We'll give you a few moments And then when Dhanushka is ready, we can start the poll. Okay.
Yes, we are ready, John.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Okay, Dhanushka, should we fire that poll?
Yeah. So, first of all, let's make sure. Did everybody got on board to a certain screen after scanning the QR? Do you have any difficulties in scanning the QR? Please let our facilitators know. Because it's a kind of a poll, live poll, we will have some kind of a 30-minute cadence for each answers. So make sure before we starting the poll, you all got onboarded to the initial screen. Okay, we can wait. Take your time. Like John mentioned, please feel free to answer honestly, because this is totally anonymous. We're not tracking anything, any information about you or your industry. So this is just to get an idea about the audience, because we know different people come from different background. So it's understandable before we conducting any kind of workshop to be everybody on the same page. So to get an understanding, that's why we conducting this live poll. So I assume that most of you guys now onboarded with the QR. Okay, we can start then. Can we have the screen? Yeah, we have. Okay, great. So the first question, how much do you know about the UX? Very simple one. I'll start the timer, so you will have 30 seconds. We'll see. Yeah, here we go. Great.
Okay, we're getting some good results through here. It's all positive.
Yeah. Okay, time is up. So we are positive, right, John?
Yeah. So we've certainly got people who've got some understanding of UX within the crowd.
Yeah, great. So for the next question, we'll jump into the next question. Right. Do you believe UX is important to your industry?
I think this is looking like a positive outcome.
Okay, great. So the happier part is most of you believe like you will have a great importance from the UX to your industry. That gives us a relief, right?
Oh yeah, sure. Means we can stick around for a little bit longer and keep talking.
Yeah. Okay, so we will back to the workshop with the presentation. So we will have more this kind of a poll throughout the workshop. We will come into that later. So I always forget to switch on my pointer. Okay, so I'm not going to elaborate much about what is UI and UX, because I personally believe like most of the people are from the IT background, and most of you have some kind of understanding about what is the UI and what is the UX. So we don't want to go much into detail there. But if you believe like you need some more additional information around this, please let us know via the Q&A so we can elaborate on that thing. So if I just quickly go through these differences, like these are some of the diagrams or some visuals that you can find on the internet, what is about the UI and the UX, but trust me, almost everything not reflecting the correct definition of that, because UI and the UX, I'm not going to elaborate again, but the UI and the UX is not two different things, right? So it's UX is also UI, UI is also UX. So it's not something that you can define from a bottle of ketchup, where some people pretend to say like, this is the UI, this is the UX, but truly, both these are UI. UX comes with the experience, and the experience comes with the user. So without a user, without talking about a user, you can't talk about the user experience. So based on that, the user experience is something, yes, in the industry we say like, we have a good user experience, our product has good user experience kind of things. But actually, we can't improve the UX because UX comes with the person who interacts with the application, your product or service. So it's vary from person to person. The experience that I get from a product is different what John get, and it's different what you get. So then what's the improving the user experience? We're referring to the most generally fact. We generalize it, the overall experience of the user. But we have to keep in our mind like, for an individual user, there can be pros, there can be cons. But we're referring to the general overall experience of the user. So this is the definition. So the UX comes with the user. It's the experience that a particular person, one individual, will experience by interacting with your product or service. So basically, it can be differ from person to person, but we generally refer as the user experience, like the overall experience. So now I have a question like, yes, we know that it can be differ from person to person, but if I ask like, we know we work in the industry, we have lots of different, tons of different titles within the team, but who is actually responsible to give a good user experience throughout our products and the service? John, you got idea?
Well, it's actually everyone. Everyone who contributes to the product, and that's even the user, should be committed to providing a great experience. So if we actually look at the way user-centric design thinking works, which is another approach, another word for UX, there's actually 5 tenets, 5 stages that you can actually approach UX. And the first stage is to empathize, and that relates to, it was a strange comment to make, even the user is involved in this experience, and that's because we use empathy. We have to research, we have to speak to the customer to understand what their wants are, what their needs are, and what problems they have. And we use that information to actually define the problem that they are experiencing. And we take that problem, and we sit down, and for the next stage, we ideate. So we come up with as many solutions as we can, crazy solutions, technically impossible at the moment solutions, but we work towards solutions that we then use to generate a prototype. So that is a very quick format, a low-fidelity version of the solution that we would like to present as the final product. And what we do is we validate that with users, and we perform user tests. If we've got everything right, it does end there for the moment, and it becomes what's called an epic win. But what happens if it's not exactly perfect? It's okay, and okay is good, but it could be better. So you'll see that this process actually has arrows, because it's not a linear process where you have to go forward. You can actually move backwards and forwards through this. So perhaps the solution wasn't correct. So you can go back to the ideation stage and start to think or choose other solutions that you then prototype and you test again. But perhaps from your feedback, completely misunderstood what the problem is. So you can actually go all the way back to the definition stage and really sit down with the user again and reapproach how they're experiencing their problem. And then you move through this again until you keep looping through, and you can keep looping through until you get to that epic win. But sadly, and it does happen, there's no solution to be found, or it's not profitable, or there's no value in that. But that's okay, because the way UX works and design thinking is that we consider that also to be a form of winning, because we haven't spent too much time, we haven't invested huge amounts of resource into coming to that conclusion. So we've actually saved the business money. So often, it can actually be a good outcome, and we call that a successful loss. So hoping you can understand how these stages are relevant, and it's not about getting it right first time. But UX itself and design thinking, it's not an expert. It accepts that it needs to evolve over time. Changes in culture, changes in technology. It all influences our approach. And what we have here is the actual evolution of product experience. So you can see that within the 18th and 19th century, we had in the industrial era, which then moved within the early 20th century to the consumer economy. So if you think about mass production, Henry Ford, he revolutionized how to mass produce vehicles. And he turned around and famously said, you can have any color of car you like as long as it's black. Now that was funny at the time, but actually what happens is as we move into this consumer economy, you have competitors within the industry and you need to evolve, you need to make your product stand out. So that comment of you can have it as I tell you, which is black, that doesn't exist anymore. So it's about personalization. We're moving into this era of accepting that there's competition. And then within the mid to late 20th century, we move into the service economy. And things evolved again in the 90s and into the millennium with the experience economy. And now, currently, we're approaching, and we are in, the digital economy. So we'll be discussing that a little bit later in this workshop. But basically what we're coming towards here is the fact that UX will persistently evolve. And while we've explained what UX is, how it works, I guess the next question is, why is UX actually important?
Yeah, John. Because, yes, we went through what is UX, but those are basically theories, right? So how it can get benefit for our industry, right? So before we trying to find an answer for that particular question, let's see how it works in the real world scenario. So I hope most of you have been heard about, yeah, again, the same issue, my bad. So Disneyland, right? The Walt Disney and the Disneyland, right? So they faced a huge problem some time back, quite recently, because of the same user experience, because it's really great to be there and experience all the rides and all the entertainment in that theme park, right? So people from all around the world gathered here to enjoy the ride. But what it actually caused was, it ended up with having a long, lengthy queues. So the ticket is quite expensive, we know that, and people purchase that ticket to enjoy the ride, but instead of enjoying the ride, most of their time of the day is spent in long-running queue. It impacted the business really hard. And also, lots of crowded food courts due to that concerns. And also, when it's a theme park, it's not only about joining a queue and enjoy the ride. There are lots of transactions happening. You have to purchase foods. If you're going to stay there, you have to keep your key card and things like that. So they invested more than $1 billion to rethink how to solve this particular problem. So they saw a problem. Now we're going to solve that particular problem. So the approach, they brought this, the Magic Band. It's a wearable and it has the capability of scan and go functionality. Not only that, it replaced the paper tickets. Now you don't need paper tickets anymore. And also it enabled the fast express onboarding and also the reservations as well. And it gives a personalized experience. How? It gives your name and your information. You know, in this kind of a theme park, there are characters. When you want to get a picture with them, they say hi. But even go beyond that capabilities, now that character knows that your name is, let's say, Sam, let's say John. So now the character knows your name when you arrive to him and he say, hi John.
Hi Dhanushka.
So that's how they enhance the experience, right? Using that enhancement of the user experience by rethinking about the problem and come up with a creative solution for that. And also, it's obvious, like the facilities of this Magic Band provide the cashless transactions, also enable that within the theme park. So, it's about making the life easy, right? Now we're telling that making the life easy for the user is a good user experience. But remember, better user experience not always only referring to the making the life easy of the user. You can say it like, yes, we get it. If we can make the life easy of our user who using our product, yeah, we're improving the user experience, isn't it? No. Because it's only one fact. There can be many cases you to address to improve the user experience. That's why I came up with this quote. If you don't believe that, let me quickly go through a story. During the Second World War, after the Second World War actually, soldiers are back to home. With the Industrial Revolution, women had to work in the factory. They had little time within the family, so they running out of time with their family, right? During this era, this famous food manufacturer, Betty Crocker, they did a quick analysis, a survey, not like analysis what we do today, but that indicated them like people tend to buy quick foods more than ever. So what they came up with is a quick recipe where you can just mix things together and you can prepare tasteful cakes. But when the information that they found during the survey is flipped, because when they actually pushed that to the market, it didn't sell much. Then they invested more money to identify this problem. They hired some expertise to find this. And then when they inquiring from the people, why don't you buy this particular product? Why don't you like it? Then some woman mentioned, it feels like a cheat. Because when I prepare this cake, when I serve it to my husband, to my kids, my family, they praise me. They praise my skills. They praise my talents. But in deep down, I know that I only mix these things up and I prepared the cake. What about now? So, what they did then was they did a little tweak to their recipe. They reproduced a new product, and they now telling, okay, you have to buy eggs separately and put it to the mixture, and you will have the cake. It worked. It worked, really worked. So they became a success in their product. People tend to buy that particular product because they enjoy it. So this gives us the reflection that always making the life easy for the customer is not improving the user experience unless they're not enjoying what they're doing. So we have to improve the experience, not to replace that. So earlier they enjoyed cooking cakes, but they lacked was the time. But what they did instead of that, they replaced the experience. People didn't buy that. That's why we're saying this experience designing is kind of a complex thing. It's not that much simple. Sometimes you tell like, okay, make the life easy for the user. But sometimes you tell, no, don't make life easy. Let them enjoy. So this is a problem, John. How we can ensure our product or our service delivering a good user experience for the user if this what's going to happen? Do you have any idea?
Well, we've got to follow a proper UX workflow, and that's the important thing here. So the way we approach UX workflow is, and we described this before, user research. You've got to frame the problem that the user is experiencing. You've got to sit down in a room of clever people, and you've got to come up with some ideas to solve that problem. And from there, you need wireframing and information architecture. Along with that, you develop a prototype and you test it. You keep testing as much as you can. And then ultimately, when you have the solution, you have to finalize that UI design and hand it over to your developers. And then you have to follow up with implementation and reiteration, because you want to stay in business, so you want to keep improving that product. You don't just release it once and walk away from it. Iteration is a very fundamental part of this process. So if we look at user research, the goal is all about gathering insights about users' needs, their behaviors, and their pain points. So how can you do that? You probably do that today, and you don't realize it, but you can speak to your customers face-to-face. You could do random polls. You could visit a customer on site. Some people like that, some people don't. They don't like people observing them. So what you can actually do instead is you can hand them a work diary, and you ask their users, their workers, their employees to just make notes about what troubles them in the day or what excites them and what helps them. Ideas. You listen to the customer and you try to understand suggestions for improvements, problems that they're experiencing, and you use that research to define the problem that the customer is having. And the goal of that is to just define the problem that you need to solve in the next stage. And that's ideation, a room full of people generating lots of ideas. And then what happens is you have a lot of potential ideas. You're going to filter them. Lots of different ways to do that. It can be a hands-up vote. Which is the easiest? What's the achievable at the moment? Sometimes the best idea isn't technically feasible at the moment. But what you do is you walk out of that room with the best idea that you feel the room and the company is comfortable with moving forward on. And then in terms of ideation, as I said, it's about being quite diverse. You've got to take in the most amount of ideas to solve this problem. And you can brainstorm, you can do crazy eights, all these techniques. If you're interested and you haven't heard about them, catch Dhanushka and myself after this call. We will show you how this can be implemented. But effectively, you're going to have this huge wealth of ideas, crazy ideas, technically impossible ideas, fantastic ideas, maybe outdated ideas. But what you then do is you sit together and you converge. So you've collected in this huge funnel of potential ideas, but you now have to come towards one or maybe two potential solutions to move forward. So you're going to make choices, and we said there's dot voting. You can put these ideas on a wall and you put little sticky dots on there. That's one way of doing a voting system. We're digital these days, so we can also put our hands up in Teams meetings, etc., to get through these. You can even storyboard, because a lot of the times, and design thinking in UX, it's all about empathy. You've got to understand the customers and the users' problems. You can sit there and you can draw little sketches that represent the customer's day. It helps a lot of people who aren't very visually minded to interpret and empathize with the problem. And equally, as part of ideation, you can storyboard the solution to say, this is our idea and this is how that will change the customer's experience. So within IFS specifically, as part of our process of UX, we do a before, as in the problem that exists today, storyboard, and we deliver a solution storyboard. So storyboarding works on both sides of that process. And as you can see, it can be nice little doodles like this. There's a fantastic library from SAP with these characters and these components. You can download them, you can physically print them out, you can use them in Photoshop, you can use them in PowerPoint, but it's all around creating these concepts to get across the problem or the solution that you've come towards. And then as you're working towards that solution, towards that prototype, it's about wireframing, and the goal of that is to define the structure and the layout of the product or the solution that you're working towards. You can do that in a number of ways too. If you're not good at drawing, you can do low fidelity sketches. You can literally sit there and scroll things out. And you can see with the low fidelity, we haven't even bothered to define what the titles are going to be. We haven't put in any real text. We haven't decided what the call to action is going to be. It's just given us an idea of how that solution could be visualized. But if you've got a bit of artistic skill, You can start to move towards medium fidelity and start to put in potential text. That's lorem ipsum, that's fine. It's given people something tangible to visualize and identify with. And then for people like myself who are graphically design, you can go for high quality, which is real images, real text. But as you move through your process, even if you've decided to do low fidelity, at some point that solution's accepted, so you will eventually end up with high fidelity mock-ups and wireframes. So at this stage, you have your wireframe and you're going to prototype it, and the idea behind that is you're going to build a very early representation of your product. And there's lots of different ways to do that as well. You can use printouts, you could use PowerPoint. Within IFS, we use Figma to create an interactive prototype. Some solutions, they can't be prototyped through traditional methods. It might be a proof of concept. You might actually have to do some code to prove how that experience works. But either way, you're going to end up with some form of prototype, and you're going to give it out to users. And the test here, the goal is to test how real users interact with this concept. You listen to them honestly, and you validate whether that solution did actually solve it. And if it didn't, you can go back a little bit and retrace your steps. But ultimately, you will hopefully come to a successful conclusion. And the whole point of UI design and handoff is the moment when the UX designers hand it over to the developers to code. And from there, we're working towards high fidelity concepts. So creating visually appealing and accessible polished UIs. This is the storyboard. This is the Bible of all the information that the developers need to develop programs, if it's software, or it could be a architectural building. It's however you want it. It is the final stage of production before you hand it off to actually be built. And then I discussed the fact that implementation and iteration is fundamental to all business, because it's about ensuring, firstly, that the solution you've come towards launches successfully. So lots of QA, building into your product, if possible, opportunities to capture feedback, suggestions from the users. Did we get it right? You interviewed a very small pool of people, probably. This is a moment you can have feedback mechanisms within your products to capture that. Because what comes next is you want to keep moving forward as a business. Technology improves, cultural trends change. So you want to meet that. You want to stay ahead of the game. You want to keep your product relevant. So you're going to move towards continuous improvements. That can come from recommendations or complaints from your users to help you tweak it, or it can come from a latest innovation that you learn from an event like this or other tech events. But ultimately, you've got to keep that product's life cycle evolving. You can't just launch a product once and hope that people will just keep buying and buying and buying. It doesn't work like that. You've got to keep iterating and improving it to keep them sales moving forward. So I guess at this stage, everyone can take the mobile phones out again.
Yeah, because great, John. Thanks for all the insightful information about this UX process, right? So now we know about the UX, the basics of the UX and the process, how we can achieve things using this kind of a process. But like I mentioned earlier, we are different, right? We have our own businesses. We are quite different from the others. Maybe there can be some competitors as well, but still we have our own process, right? So rather than this to be a kind of a lecture and student kind of interaction, we would like to awake your imagination. You representing some of a company, right? So you can now think how this particular process impact to our business, how it can be beneficial for our business. And also, if you are following some of these methods in your industry, then how it can be improved. Or you can just analyze, okay, we know that, we're following that, but the terms may be different, that's okay, as long as we're following the correct process, right? So now we will go for a quick poll again. So scan the QR on the next screen, be ready, and let us know, according to your perception, according to the way of working of your company, your organization, how do you feel about this particular process? Let's go.
Okay. So the question here is, where are we today? And again, nothing is right or wrong. We're going to give you a little bit more time for each question at the moment, but we really want to know your thoughts on the actual UX process. So again, if you could please scan. We'll give you a few moments to bring that poll up. Seeing lots of phones up in the air. This is great.
Yeah.
And lots of phones have come down now, so I guess we're at a stage where we can launch this poll.
Everybody okay to start? Or do you need more time?
I think we're all ready. We just need it moving onto the screen. Thank you.
Okay, right. So you can see the question. We still not start the timer yet, but you can feel free to read the question and the answers. So it's quite straightforward. So we will give you a time to answer this particular question. I hope everybody okay with the screen, right? Everybody got scanned the QR? Okay, here we go. Let's start.
I think this is fantastic.
Yeah. We love this engagement. Thanks a lot, actually.
I was a bit scared then, see the way you went yes, but no stuff took over for a brief second. We're going to have to leave early.
Yeah.
No, this is great. This is great. Must be the people on older iPhones. They're a little bit slower to react these days. They build that into the product, so you're constantly buying the next version.
Okay, anyway, we are running out of time. We have to move to the next question. Let's see what's the next question. Okay, the next question, quite challenging. It will require some of your imagination and something to think about. What are the challenges? What areas do you see as challenging in your business, in your organization, to implement this process? I'm pretty sure all of you have some kind of opinion on that. Let's see.
It's hard to choose a winner at the moment. It keeps fluctuating.
I guess this is the most competitive question we have so far, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Many believe like it's a knowledge gap. Many believe like it's the resources. Many believe like the company direction.
It's good to see, however, that cost isn't the biggest concern here.
Yeah.
Which means you see the value in it, you're just a little bit cautious about how to approach it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the final outcome. So actually we don't want to get into much detail here because basically it's up to you. So if you got an understanding, okay, what area, if you got a moment to think about, okay, which area we need to improve and which area we think as the most challenging to implement such a framework, such process in your organization. So we'll just keep these results for the moment, but what we wanted to tell you, like, you are not alone, right? Not only your company not having a good direction to improve the user experience. Not only you believe that you don't have enough resources with the proper knowledge to implement such a facilitation, such kind of a framework, such kind of a workflow. So we are all together there. You are not alone. That's it.
That's great.
Okay, we'll back to our workshop. The content, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I keep switching it off every time. Okay. So we now know the process, okay? We know what is the UX and all the basic fundamental. So John, this process, you elaborated it. So if we follow this particular process, will we win at the end? Will it give us the security for a better tomorrow? Right? We will win? Is that enough? I'll take you to the title of this workshop. I want to rethink. Designing for tomorrow. The shift in the UX thinking, right? Big title. Okay. So we know the UX thinking now, right? We went through that. But where's the shift? Are we designing for tomorrow, John? I don't get it. Because I know most of these people from the IT sector, so they obviously know most of these processes. So the thing that take us there will take us tomorrow, for the tomorrow. Are we future-proof? Or we can say, basically I can't understand what's the shift, John, in here. Do you know the shift?
Well, there is a shift coming.
Okay, we can go there.
There is a shift coming.
Okay, let's see what John has to say about the shift.
Okay, so there definitely is a shift in UX thinking coming. It's happened in the past. We explained that through the evolution through the years. But the new shift is how we perceive our users. So traditionally, target audience. Target audience is just a huge bucket of users, and we hope that if we throw enough at it, it will stick. And then what happened is we moved into the concept of user personas, which is when we group types of users and gauge and provide experiences designed for the common tasks that exist. But the next level, the shift that's coming, is the individual level of personalization. Because we have the technology and we have the information, and we can process that information at a speed that means we can now target individual level personalization. And what that means is target audiences, well, they're a demographic segmentation. And from there, we can only create generic user journeys, and that limits the flexibility of the product. So its limitations is that it lacks personalization. It's a common approach to a problem. It mightn't fully fix the problem that you have or the specific needs of your users. We assume that all the users act the same, they have the same motivations, and that doesn't exist within the same company, never mind the entire industry or all of your users like a target audience would be. So it really is suboptimal. User personas, well, they're intermediate levels of personalization. We've started to group people. We've started to give them the concept of personalization for their role. So that's empathy-driven design. We've identified certain types of people and we've grouped them. And it's also based around scenarios. But that in itself also comes with limitations. It's still generalized user behaviors. It can't be adopted dynamically when users change their preferences or their needs. And in order for that to happen, the software has to update. So as your types of users, your personas change through time, you have to update your software. Individual level personalization, however, that's the static personas are shifting across to real-time individual levels of personalization, which means per user, we're delivering a tailored experience dynamically, and that's through predictive personalization. So really, what we have, which is the surprise, I guess, to the audience, is that what we're working towards as part of this workshop, now we've brought you up to a level of understanding across the room of what UX is and what it's attempting to do, and we talked that there was a shift coming. Designing for tomorrow, personalized experience design with AI technology. So, how does AI personalization improve the user experience? Any ideas, Dhanushka?
Yeah. How we can use the AI to build the personalization of the user experience. before we go into there, let's see what others has done around the world. So I might need podium because I don't have all the business stats in my head. So let's talk about the first business, the Netflix. So I'm pretty sure most of you guys know about this particular business, how they use the AI technology to bring up that personalization experience for the customers. Basically, in the Netflix, you may notice or you may not notice, in Netflix, when you, let's say, you are a thriller film watcher, right? So you prefer to watch thriller films. They're not only suggesting you the thriller films, they also get all the insights of your, don't be afraid, okay? All your watch history, all your preferences, all your browsing history, all your watch durations and everything. And they, if you have noticed, they actually customize the thumbnail of the movies according to your preferences. If you have any preferences for any kind of actor, they will change the thumbnail according to that. And if you are a thrill seeker, they customize these thumbnails, whatever the movie, just you feel like it's a thrilling. So that kind of experience they have implemented using the power of AI. And also, they're ranking these contents based on these criteria that I mentioned earlier, and they ranking up each content, and then when you go into that particular platform in your browsing page or maybe on your home page, based on that ratings, they will order the contents and they will dynamically change the arrangements and the contents of your interface. So that's something that they have implemented using this AI. So how that impacted their business is basically, according to the studies, the resource says this information. So according to their studies, they're saying that the 80% of the content watched on Netflix are from the AI-driven recommendation. So you can see how much of a big impact it create in their business. And also it says like the boosting all the engagements and the customer retention rate and also the global market reach, it all went up with the arrival of the AI. And then this, the Amazon, you probably heard about the Amazon website since most of you from the IT sector. So they have their own personalization, they have their own algorithms to gather all the information, the similar information, your search history, your wish list, and all your past purchase, everything. They will analyze all these things and they will create the user personalization based on this information. And probably if you have noticed that frequently bought together, there's some kind of items that's suggesting like the brought together, and also the customer also bought kind of suggestions are there. So all these techniques, all this information, they fetch from this technology of the AI. And not only that, they also changing the price of the goods depending on the supply and demand and the competitor price. So we can see how powerfully they're using this AI technology to improve their business, basically. So this is also a business that says in their articles, their findings, 35% of the Amazon's revenue come from the AI-driven recommendation. So we can see how big that going to impact into their business, the AI technology. And also, I'm not going to go into much detail, but this is another kind of a good example, the Spotify, how they, most probably, if you are a Spotify user, you probably know how personalized the playlist and the songs and the things you experience in the application, right? And their time capsule feature, it brings some recommendation from the old hits that you like based on your age and your preferences. So these are some of the examples that how they use the AI technology to improve their business. And these are the business insights that they published after using this AI technology, how it improves their business. And the Booking.com, one of the major booking platform, they have this kind of AI technology. They generating all this pricing dynamically based on the competitor price, based on the supply chain and everything. And the most important thing is they're running more than thousands of A/B testing daily for each user. So you can imagine how much of optimization that they want to have in their application. Like when you want to get a booking, they always try to analyze whatever your preferences, and based on that they're suggesting all these contents for you. So most probably, if you see the business impact, like if something recommending for you which you're looking for, then most of the time you will go for it, right? So rather than just be filtering through the target audience the old-fashioned way, they're just now looking into the personalized information, and then they're looking into the personalized data to create this personalized experience. All the user profile information, everything, they will using to bring you a content which pretty much effective on your decisions. So this reflects how it increased their business. And this is about how the industry giants, they have implemented this AI technology and how they use that particular technology to improve their business. So basically, this is how the new generation user experience works, right? So yeah, let's hear from John. This is about how they use it, but if we dig into the detail, how we can achieve that through our products, I think John has good points there.
That'd be great, yeah. So this is all about leveraging a variety of techniques to create that highly tailored experience that's engaging for your users. Remember to turn it on. Okay. Importantly, it's all about user data collection and analysis. You've got to start building up user profiles, and you've got to put moments of tracking within the software to really start to help and identify how the customers are using your products, okay? Probably do that already, but that means you're on the first track of this process. Next is filtering and predictive analytics, collaborative filtering, content-based filtering, and predictive analytics. A/B testing, we've talked about this. Booking.com, they run thousands a day. Probably too much for most of the people in the audience here. But in terms of testing and optimization, you have the ability for multivariate testing, real-time user testing, and personalized offer optimization. So you can get a reaction to how people are responding to these offers in real time and change that. Maybe you got it right, maybe you got it wrong, but you're going to keep shifting and offering new options for your customers. The next is real-time personalization with AI algorithms. So that's the real-time recommendation engines. Dhanushka was referring to Amazon, for example. They really do get this right. They monitor and they recommend not just on what they think you like, but also people that you work around. Perhaps they know family member is having a birthday soon. They recommend gifts, etc. So there's session-based personalization and there's context-aware personalization. Both two different things, but two different methods that you can apply towards your process. Then we have AI-driven dynamic UIs for building personalized experiences. And if we look at what they are, well, there's hyper-personalized experiences. So we discussed Netflix, where the interface itself is evolving based on the user's preferences, their goals, and their behavior in real time. Maybe you started watching a new movie with a new actor. You didn't like it, you turn it off. It adapts, it changes it. It finds there's a movie over here that you actually prefer. That actor's actually in the movie later. It changes the thumbnail. It makes you, react and respond to the empathy that you're feeling. Next is contextual and adaptive UI. So we've all seen autofill from Google. It now starts to anticipate what you need in its auto suggestions. And that's where everything is adapting based on the user's environment and behavior. So Spotify, it will know when you're moving from walking around listening to music to being in your car. It changes, it reduces the amount of information there so you can focus on the key task, which is driving. And that's going to be a highly relative type of solution for most people within industrial AI, where your service engineers are traveling or they're on site, they've just left site. The UI can shift automatically. So it goes from a driving mode like Spotify has to knowing that it's within a customer's building, makes all the information available to them relevant to the task at hand. So the whole point here is that UI itself is not necessarily adapting to user preferences, but it's responding to situational awarenesses. And that's going to be a key to personalization in the future. The next is we have voice-activated interfaces. We all know them. We have Alexa, we have Siri, we have... better be careful these names because all your phones will probably kick in and start buying things if I say the wrong words. But these are just methods to allow users to interact with systems using voice. So it's fantastic for accessibility, which I believe is a topic that will be covered over this event. Adaptive accessible content. So again, it's about accessibility, but it's not about duplication. You have a single source of truth, but you have to accept that each user has individual needs. Some are linguistic. So you have all your documentation in English, but you know users are French, German, etc. You can automatically translate through AI services. The other is reading comprehension. You shouldn't have to duplicate effort by having complex technical documentation, which is then translated to lower level understanding for lay users. You can actually use AI to change the cognitive reading level on the fly. So that means you just have a single source of truth for your documentation now, and it will adapt accordingly. And that's going to be a huge cost saving in terms of operational updates, documentation management. So that is going to be a key, probably to a lot of people within the IT sector who are delivering software with documentation. Then we have self-learning UIs, which are constantly learning from the interactions. And the UI is just going to become more and more intuitive, meaning that in the past, we used to ask users to filter manually, how would you like this page to appear? Well, we know now, we've monitored the behavior, so we can adapt automatically from that. So we take the decisions out of their hands. They just get on with the task at hand, and we change the UI accordingly. The next is, it's an interesting one. It's probably not ideal for most industrial applications, but it's emotional awareness within interfaces. So we have wearables now that know our current situation, stress levels. The Apple devices know that if you're in an emergency situation, it can help call. So perhaps in that regard, you did think it was not relevant for your products. But again, we discussed then, what if you have drivers that have to move from site to site? What if it had emotional awareness based on biometrics? You might be able to tell then if your employee has suffered an accident, is in distress, needs help. So you can actually start to adapt these more consumable types of mindset into actual industrial products. And the important thing that I alluded to before is that we already today give customers and users some form of control through customizations. It's very basic, but customization is very different than personalization. So I think it's important for us to look at this list and understand the key differences, because customization does have a future in AI, for sure, but personalization also equally has one, but they are fundamentally different. So customization is about physical interactions of the user making adjustments, whereas personalization is that it's system-driven. The AI is monitoring, it's taking in that data and it's adapting on the fly. Customization is limited to predefined options, whereas personalization is adapting dynamically to give you options if you need to be, or to make those decisions for you. Customization is static, as we've said, You have to ask the user to make decisions. Whereas personalization, those options are constantly shifting based on situational awareness, time of day, all of these factors. And customization is ultimately quite simple, but it is still asking the user to select from options. Personalization is more complex to implement, but as the AI is analyzing the behavior, it's making decisions on your behalf. So to that extent, it is seamless. You're not interfering with the user's daily flow. You're not asking them to stop for a moment, think about how they want things. They just simply move forward through personalization because the AI is making those decisions for you. So I guess in that regard, we now want to hear more from you. So it's phones times again, I guess.
Yeah. So instead of going for another poll, I know most probably you guys bored with that. Instead of that, yeah, there's a clock is ticking here. We have to wrap up pretty soon. But we want to give you a moment to think about this. We know that there are lots of implementations, lots of initiation around the world with relate to the AI technology. But if I ask you, according to your business model, according to what you see, what are the challenges you may face if we using this AI technology in this particular direction? Do you see any challenge? Do you see any risk? So I can have maybe like 3 minutes. Yeah, we can afford 3 minutes. So we will take 3 minutes, pin drop silent. And if I'm not very sure, if you guys have the sticky notes on your table, use those as well. Just take 3 minutes to think from your perspective, because we need different ideas from all of you. So think about that, and according to your perception, what are the challenges that you may see when we implementing this kind of AI technology to implement the personalization of the user experience? Just think about it. We will pause for a moment, and then we will give, we don't have much time, but we will try to give 1 or 2 participants who are willing to read it loud to the audience. We will share the microphones with you. If you like to express your thoughts to the audience, we can give that opportunity, just taking a small time. So yes, it's time. So think about it, and we will back in maybe like 2-3 minutes. Yeah, thank you. Okay, sorry to interrupt. I know this is a great time. If we have more time, it will be really good, because we know that this is the great time that all your minds now focused on the personalization of the user experience. Now you're starting to think about your business model. So that's a great time, but unfortunately we have to fight against the time. So yeah, now we believe like some of you might come up with good ideas. What would be the challenges in using AI technology for personalized user experience? So anybody who would like to share your thoughts with the audience, can you please raise your hands? Our facilitators will pass you the microphone.
Dhanushka, we've got a very hungry individual here as well.
Great. We have to.
He's practically on stage.
Okay.
Over-personalization would tunnel your choices in a certain direction. Does not leave you to a wider spectrum of things that you could watch. Let's say Netflix. I like thrillers. It'll just show me thrillers. But there might be a great documentary which I might lose out on just because it does not fall into the algorithm that Netflix has set up. So how do we overcome that challenge?
Yeah, definitely. We will cover that part in the rest of the workshop. Thank you for the input. Yes, that's something that we have to be mindful. And we had another participant back there, right?
Yeah.
I know. Right, we have there. Okay.
Yeah, this is bit related to the implementation perspective challenge. When it comes to UI UX personalization, how does it map with the functionality? I mean, more of an implementation perspective, right? For example, we may, depending on the users' interactions, change. Example, very simple example, the font size, right? But if it is related to functional thing, how do you manage that challenge?
Yeah. That's another good challenge that we may face. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. I know most of you guys need to raise your hands and pass your answers. Sorry about that, apologies. But yeah, we will quickly jump into the next section. What are the risks that we may face with the use of AI technology? So like correctly you mentioned, most probably, even though you not raised your hands, you probably have thought about this. So the biggest challenge we will have is the privacy. So the user's data privacy and the data security, that's a big challenge because we know that all our personalized information now they are in the algorithm. So we have to rely on that, right? So that's a big challenge. So I'm not going to elaborate this since we are running out of time. But during the Q&A session, if you need any elaboration, we can provide that. But basically, the second most challenge would be like the algorithmic bias and the ethical issues with related to that. So we have to implement this kind of AI audits to detect these kind of things and eliminate that from our product. And also we need to make sure like we need to implement the human oversight over the decisions that AI make, because always we need to have that. John will discuss it later, bit in more detail if we have more time. But this is something that we heard just now, the over-personalization. That is a big challenge that we may face because now the algorithm learns your thinking pattern and he knows what you preferred. But what if you want to go beyond that? You don't want to watch the same thing every day, right? So whenever you want to change your preferences, that should be there in your product. We can't let AI to handle everything. We can't replace the user experience with the AI, right? Remember, we have to implement the experience. What we can do is actually get the assistancy of the AI to improve the user experience, not to eliminate that. And also, this is another one that I mentioned. We need to make sure the human in the loop so that whenever that particular individual user need to go away from that particular loop, we have to make sure that is there. And this is the another major fact that we will all may face. Yes, it costs so much. It costs lots of efforts. It costs lots of resources. So we need to face that challenge as well. So John, I think we are running out of time. There are a lot more things that we can elaborate and discuss based on that, but we have to obey to the time for the other presentations as well. But yeah, quickly we will open up for the Q&A. There are some methods that we can follow to eliminate this risk. Can you just sum up these things, how we can eliminate these challenges using best practices in AI, John?
Sure, yeah. So it's all about, you've got to be transparent with the data that you're collecting. You have to give the opportunity for them to overview that, to delete themselves. In Europe, it's called Forget Me. So you have to give people the ability to opt out and ensure that that data is removed. So that falls into user consent and it complies with data practices and local regulations. So your product might need to focus on territorial-based regulations. There's also the concept, as Dhanushka alluded to there, which is the bias in data. You've got to ensure that there is monitoring to ensure there is no bias. There's got to be accountability and there's got to be explainability as well within that. You have to explain to people how you came to that conclusion and offered that opinion. And we've discussed this balance between personalization and over-personalization. It has to be subtle and it has to offer diverse suggestions as well. So you can find these, to the left documentaries, to the right documentaries, so you're not just living within this bubble. And you do that through user control. So AI is assistive, but you have to ultimately allow for the user to change their preferences. We do that. Young kids become teenagers, they suddenly change character, and that moves on through their life. So users change their preferences because that's what we do in real life. And it's about continuous learning and improvement. You have to build feedback loops into the system. You have to perform plenty of A/B testing. Booking.com do a lot of that. And then recalibration of the algorithms. So as cultural shifts, technology shifts, you need to constantly recalibrate to make sure, again, that there's no bias occurring. Then there's the concept of cross-device personalization, where there has to be a seamless experience, device-specific personalization, and this information needs to sync across devices. You can't have different recommendations specifically on a desktop versus a mobile unless it's situational-based recommendations. And then in regards to design and interfaces for personalization, it's about being non-intrusive, providing visual clarity, the ability to customize personalization, so it goes about that change in preference. And to get out of that bubble, you've also got to encourage exploration within the product. So I think at this stage, Dhanushka, we're honouring the...
Yeah. So due to the time limitations, we will wrap it up. We're not going to sum up everything. I believe it's crystal clear for you what we discussed today, but obviously you may have lots of questions, so we will move to questions. But before that, I would like to go for a quick poll as some kind of, we need to evaluate how good we deliver this content for you. So just do a bit favor for us. Just scan this QR for the feedback collection. Just small 2 questions we will ask and just let us know your thoughts. Then we will go for the Q&A though. I think it's time for the quick 2 questions. Okay. Okay, we'll go for this particular questions. Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, we can go there. Can't you see the question though, properly? It's cluttered on the interface. Okay, I think you got the questions clear. So how would you rate the importance of this content of this workshop for you? And then the next question would be like, how satisfied are you with the content you found in this particular workshop? Yeah, we got some answers. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I think there are lots of AI-related discussions about to happened throughout this particular event. So lots of speakers will be there. Of course, we are the first workshop of the event, but you will get lots of valuable information throughout the other speakers, and they will go into much technical level through the track panel discussions. But what we wanted to improve there was like to set the foundation for all of you, because basically everybody are there. So we wanted to set the foundation for you. So if that's helpful, we're really glad that it worked. So yes, we can wrap it up. But yes, sorry, we got questions. So if you have any questions, we would like to answer as well, right? So we have got some questions online, right? Okay, John, shall I open up some quick questions?
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, we have a question. Over-personalization can run into issues like constantly showing the same. Maybe there are security effects. Do you have any idea on that?
Well, it is a valid point, and the reality is that... Sorry, which question?
This one.
Yeah. So the reality is, if it is constantly showing the same information, potentially there's a problem with the algorithm. there's potentially some interference with the data that's coming through. I believe it references security.
Yeah.
So you have to perform audit logs. You have to evaluate the data. You have to make sure the algorithm isn't being biased for some reason. So there is lots of reasons for why this might be occurring. You've just got to take that into a brainstorming session. You've got to analyze as much data as you can through your audit logs, through your algorithm. Maybe reach out to the user as well. That's another way of resolving that.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, with the time, we have to limit for this level for the moment. But yeah, we will be there down floor, I guess the 7th floor throughout the event. So if you need more elaboration, more discussions about this topic, we will be there for you to networking. So feel free to gather around. We will be there. So thanks a lot for giving us this opportunity. And thanks a lot for all of you for being such engaging, providing us that kind of great response for our session. So thanks a lot. Have a nice day. Thanks, John, and thanks for the organizing committee, and thanks for the IFS for giving this opportunity for us. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a nice day.
Enjoy the rest of the workshops.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we'd like to invite Lahiru Ratnapala and Deshan Vijay Singer from the RSG organizing team to please come up on stage, because we have 2 tokens of appreciation to be handed to John and Dhanushka. Gentlemen, can we have you on stage once again, please, to receive your tokens? We have Lahiru and Deshan coming on stage to hand them their tokens. Let's give them another big round of applause, everybody. John O'Reilly, Dhanushka Sanjaya, sharing their insights here today. Beautiful. All right, now some important announcements, okay? Post-lunch, we're going to be breaking into 3 tracks, okay? Track 1 and track 2 is going to be here in the main hall. There'll be a divider put up during the lunch break, so decide if you're on track 1 or track 2. Apart from that, track 3, which is the leadership track, is happening at Lumina A, which is on the 7th floor. That's 1 floor down. You can't go this way, you have to go from that way. Just go there, go down the escalator, and that's where the 3rd track is happening. So you know which track you want to be on, 1, 2 or 3. Make sure you make your way over there. We're looking to start exactly at 1:20, so if you can be there by 1:15, that will be great, okay? Apart from that, if you step down, just down the escalators on this side at the back of the stage, there's going to be our booths, our stalls. Remember the treasure hunt, remember the stickers on your wristbands, remember to go play spin the wheel, answer the questions, try and get all of those things in. And an important announcement that needs to be made is that when it comes to lunch, there's lots of people here and the space is very limited. And of course, we need to be agile, right? So keep moving forward very quickly. You can have the conversations as you're moving, as you're eating. Let's make it a very quick one, okay? So we're going to be starting at 1:20. Once again, lunch is just outside here, ladies and gentlemen. Join the queue quickly, move quickly. Bottlenecks can be avoided. Before we break for lunch, RSG, can we have a big round of applause, please? Come on, put your hands together. See you at 1:15.